Hello, it's me, Cubby, and Wonky Face, and we're here to tell you about this awesome album. It's called Triangle, and it's by Schammasch. I think that's how you pronounce it. Oh, I'm holding it upside down, it's actually that way. It was released this year on Prosthetic Records, and it's awesome. It's really cool. It comes in... cough. It comes in 3 discs and a little booklet, and it's awesome. Okay, what's really awesome about this album is the 3 discs that it comes in. I think that's really cool artistically, because the whole story of the album is a concept. From what I can gather, I think it's about death and the transference of consciousness to the other world, or something like that. It's really, really good. Really, really good. And there's also a couple of interesting things about the album. It comes on 3 CDs, and each CD is 33 minutes and 33 seconds long, I think that's what it was, which is awesome. Okay, what's so awesome about this album is it comes on 3 discs. Which is really interesting artistically, because the album is a concept album about, from what I can gather, the process of dying and transference of consciousness to the other world. Another interesting fact is each CD on the album is split into 33 minutes and 30 seconds, I think it is, which I don't know why, but it's interesting musically. Not musically. For some other reason. I think it's something to do with... I don't know. Anyway, the album itself is interesting because the first part, CD1, which is also called The Process of Dying, which is where I got the idea about the concept from, is very harsh and black metal-y and very aggressive, and I imagine it sort of musically sounds like the way someone would be if they were dying. So, you know, unpleasant in a way, harsh, I've said that already, aggressive, there's lots of blast beats and tinny guitar, harsh vocals and things like that. Then the second half of the album, or the second third of the album I should say, takes a different approach. It goes from harsh and nasty on this album to a more peaceful but more of a mix. It's got more singing vocals in it, a bit more keyboard, but it's still got the harsh edge to it and things like that. So it's sort of the point where you're fading from life. Well, that's the way I interpret it anyway. And then the last part, which is called Supernal Clear Light of the Void, is much more calm and deep and thoughtful sounding. It's mostly all keyboards and overtone singing, which is really cool on the first track, The Third Ray of Light. There's lots of tribal type world percussion type bongos and things like that, and it just takes on a whole different sound to the other 2 parts of the album, which adds a whole complexity to the whole concept. It makes it really, really interesting to listen to, and it's also incredibly ambitious as well, much like the last album I reviewed, but this one is even more so, just because of the scope, the scale and everything. They've got so many different instruments and overtone singing, which I love. What else have they got in there? Just all sorts of stuff. It's really, really worth listening to. Production on Triangle, as you might expect from a black metal band, is fairly thin and messy in a sense. I mean, it's not horribly messy, it's not like lo-fi or anything, but it's not clean and tidy like some other bands would be. All the instruments shine through, especially on part 3, but it's suitably gritty and grainy and dark, like you'd expect for the album's concept and the music that they play, which is dark. Also, another side to the production is the fact that they chose to release it on 3 separate discs. I think that's interesting because it shows that they're trying to more vividly separate the 3 parts of the album, because in theory the whole lot more or less would fit on one disc, but they've chosen to separate it and put 33 minutes, which is less than half of a proper CD's length, onto each one, which means it comes in this fab little box, and it comes with this little book which has the lyrics in and also the instrumentation, some of the instrumentation, such as acoustic guitar, gongs, overtone singing, chimiette, which I've never heard of. I think it's supposed to say set, but I'm not sure. But there's all these sorts of things on there. There's mellotron, lap steel, spoken word parts, and it all just melds so well together. It's a really great album. Parts and the bad parts. The good parts of the album is basically just the whole album. It's so awesome, it's unbelievable. It won't be to everyone's taste because it's quite inaccessible in places, and it's quite gritty, and it's black metal for the most part, so it's not going to be to everyone's taste, but it's really good. It's very artistic, that's for sure. It's definitely a muso's music, I would say. And the fact that it just comes in a really nice case is another reason, is another good part, and the breaking up of the different parts into different styles. They've clearly very carefully thought about how they want to do it. The bad parts, however, I would say, is one, because it comes on 3 discs in a little box, it's more pricey than most CDs. Now, I don't normally talk about price, but in this particular case it's quite significant. It's like £17 for the standard copy. That's because they've got to make 3 CDs and all this. So that, for me, is a downside. Despite how good it is, it's a risk to spend that much on something you may or may not like. Another downside, I would say, which isn't too much of a downside, is the fact that all the different elements are split up so obviously. Like, most of the soundscapes and atmospherics come at the end of the album on part 3. There's not many on the other 2 discs, and maybe if they'd split it up a bit more evenly it would have made a bit more sense in some ways, but then at the same time the process of dying doesn't necessarily make sense either, and also it's not particularly pleasant until you've actually died, presumably, because at most you either don't know anything or, you know, it's presumably quite pleasant for most people, depending on belief, and that's kind of what they've done with the album. My favourite tracks on the album are The Third Ray of Light, because of the overtone singing. Where is it? Crepusculum, I just think that's a brilliant name for a song, and Sartori or Sartori. Those 3 songs, that's 1 from each disc, are really good. They stand out to me particularly, and yeah, it's just really, really good. And now it's time for a paw rating. Me and Wonky Face have decided to give it 9 out of 10 paws. We can't quite give it 10 because it's not totally perfect, and it's a bit pricey, and as I said earlier, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And last but not least, can you dance to it while drunk. You could drunk to it while dance, but that's not really a thing. We think we probably could, particularly the last bit. It'd be all wavy like this. Ooh. Thank you for watching. I've been Cubby. And this has been Scruffykins. And we will be reviewing some more things soon. Thank you for watching again, and see you soon.